Cool. How are you, Brian, Aaron?
Wow, doing good. I told Aaron I might be over caffeinated today, so we'll see.
No worries.
Yeah, yeah.
Caffeine is good
Ha-
by experience.
Happy Tuesday and Wednesday, everyone. Yeah, doing well. It's a good day.
Awesome. Okay, in that case, let's get started. Everybody, thank you for joining. Today we are doing an AMA with a team from Unfamiliar Territory. Looking forward to hear more about their project, their game, and what else they have in store. So, to get started, maybe we can do a quick intro. Aaron, Ryan, can you take the stage and tell the people a little bit about yourself and your project?
Sure. I guess I'll start. I'm Brian Gray. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Unfamiliar Territory. And yeah, Aaron and I have known each other for about a year now. We've been on this journey together, and it's just been really exciting and glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. My name is Aaron Bynum. I am CTO and co-founder with Brian of Unfamiliar Territory. As Brian said, yeah, we've been working on this for just a little over a year now, and yeah, really excited to be here.
Awesome. Before we dive in to Unfamiliar Territory, could you share a little bit about your background? How did you get yourself into the NFT or gaming space? I'm sure people would love to know.
Well, that's kind of a funny question because I probably am not qualified to be in the gaming space, but here I am. My background is mostly in e-commerce. So for the last 13 years, I've been doing um, seven-figure e-commerce sites and been into a lot of marketplace development and things like that. And when I saw NFTs really starting to hit the space, I decided this is really just another marketplace. And I had a dream of building a game that was basically going to gamify e-commerce. And very quickly, it turned into a much bigger game than what I'd ever imagined. In the beginning, it was something that was going to be very simple, and the game that we started developing was not so simple. So we changed directions and decided to jump into the whole metaverse of developing a video game. That led us down a lot of different paths, but it led us here, and I'm just excited to share with you. One of the things that I think I could tell everybody that's listening is if you want to get into this space, now's the time to do it. There's not a better time to do it. This it's the Wild West out here, so jump in. The water's warm, and just follow your dream.
So, to add on to that a little bit, so it seems like for about the last 5 years, everywhere I've looked has been blockchain, NFTs. About 5 years ago, I attended a seminar by an alum from my alma mater, and he did a deep dive into where blockchain technology came from, what it is going to be used for in the future. A couple of years after that, I bought my first Bitcoin, and then it just has snowballed from there. My background is in IT. I've done QA, software engineering, full stack web development for the last almost 20 years. So this is just kind of a natural segue once I met Brian into combining the two, my love for technology and everything blockchain, and Brian's extensive background in e-commerce. And out of that birthed this. I do also have some pretty deep connections in the game development space, and so we might touch on that a little bit more later.
Awesome. Curious question from me. If your background was in e-commerce, Brian, why not just go full on marketplace? Why go through a game?
Well, that was kind of the first road that we decided that we were going to go down. We were looking at doing a gamification piece for e-commerce. There's a lot of people out there, and as I started getting into Axie Infinity and other play to earn games, it was really clear to me that this space just has so much more to offer for it. Um, we are building our own marketplace on unfamiliar territory, so we are utilizing that piece. But I'm also a creative. I used to own a recording studio for many years. I've traveled in bands. I've played a lot of music. So this was a great outlet for me to just be able to tap into the creative side of what I do.
Got it. Awesome. I guess the general question that I have is like, who is behind Unfamiliar Territory. And we know you, Aaron and Brian. Who else is in the team?
Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll let you.
yeah, you bet. So we have a team spread out globally. Currently, it comprises, like you said, myself and Brian. We have our social and marketing manager, Trevor Allen. He is here stateside as well. We also have our concept artist, Lewis Monson, and he is, along with our good friends at Immutable X, he is based down in Australia. And we also have our 3D landscaped artist, Juro, who hails from Bosnia. So that is, for the most part, that is our team. We have a few people that come in and have provided some guidance on the business side, on the gaming side. But for the most part, that is our team. So
awesome. Thanks for sharing. Then, in that case, getting into the game itself, then, what inspired this? What's the story? Who are the characters? What can you share?
When we first started this, we started with a very simple game, and then it developed into something that was much more complex. I kind of said earlier I was a songwriter, and one of the things I always found was, if a good song came out, it usually came out very, very quickly. There was no need for iteration. It just kind of poured out of me. And much of the story behind this did the same thing. The first, when Aaron and I started this, we said, every good game that we've played has a really good backstory to go with it. Just really something to drive the characters home, to make you feel like you are a part of the overall lore of the game. Stories like, games like WoW that, went on to have books and movies and things like that. So I sat down and started writing, and it really just kind of poured out of me. There's no better way to explain it than it just kind of birthed itself. It really, once I sat down and started writing, all the backstory came out of it. And really out of that backstory is where a lot of the game came from, and the gameplay and the just everything that I was writing just kind of seemed to come to life, if you will. So I really think this came from a higher power, if you will, because it just seemed to pour out of me. So that, in a nutshell, is where the game was inspired from. You'll also find, if you get to chapter 3, if you're listening to our each of our founders cards that we put out, were a chapter of where the game's original pieces came from.
I see that our team member Craylo is already posting that backstory from YouTube on the Events Text channel. When you say it's a backstory in an NFT, could you just tell more about that? What do you mean?
Sure. Well, first, I wrote the story, and then with my background with doing a lot of recording, I owned a recording studio. Aaron came to me and said, "Hey, I think we could narrate this, and we could really make something." He goes, "I like to do voices." In fact, one of my favorite voices he does is Braun. It always reminded me of Cartman. So maybe we can coax him into doing a couple voices for us today. But Aaron actually did all of the voices, I think, except for one or two in the backstory. So we had a lot of fun with that. It's probably my favorite time of building this whole game was the time spent with Aaron, just going through and writing and compiling the narrated backstory of this.
I was going to make good on Brian's coax. So if you start talking like this, greetings, Graham. And I love doing voices. Like Brian said, a lot of this was birthed out of just a creative back and forth, playing off each other, riffing, to borrow a term from music industry, and it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun coming up with the different voices.
That's amazing. So everything in the story and in YouTube, that's just the two of you? All those voices, etc.?
All us.
It's
Wow.
all of us. Brian did all of our editing and Foley work. I did the voices, as Brian mentioned, with the exception my daughter is a theater major, and so she provided the voice on one of the stories. I'll leave that up to our audience to figure out which one that was. But it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Why did you go down this route? Like, specifically, why did you decide to try like a storybook avenue? Is what you call it?
Yeah, it really was more just about the game and bringing out the characters. So as you listen to the story, I think you'll fall in love with Toby and Henry. I think Henry was probably, at least from our community, is probably one of the favorite characters that's in there. But it was really about pulling together all these different characters and giving them life. In chapter 3, we finally get to meet the villains of the game, and one of the things that has always bothered me in the past is that the victors, they say, always write history, and the Cloak and Wraith, which is the villains of the game, they're basically a misunderstood race, and to them, they're fighting for their own families. They're fighting for a different reason. And there's really no bad people out there. It's everybody looks at life through a different lens. And, this was just a way to kind of to bring that to life and say, okay, they are fighting for a different reason, but it's no less just and no less real than the Talhain, who are a peaceful, loving group of people as well, but they're fighting for a different reason. So, there's just some different things that we tried to bring out in the story, and that was one of them.
Got it. In that case, could you tell me more about the game itself? Is it a shooting game? Is it an MMORPG? How does that tie into the story?
What we're building is a little different. It's a real-time strategy game. It's first person, but we added a different element to it, which is it's got a survival mode to it. We really wanted this to be, from the beginning, we wanted this to be a free-to-play game. So we've taken some different directions with that, but in the end, we decided we were going to be giving away our character NFTs so that anyone can jump in the game and start playing. From there, it's a building game, so you're going to be mining resources. The main 2 resources we have are stone and wood. The other one is food, but it's not really a resource. It's energy for the players. As players jump into the game, they can start mining their resources and then selling them at the market. Then we also wanted to be able to make, a real utility for our land. So that is a piece of it. We're selling each land plot. There's 2 different kinds of plots. There's resource plots and there's city plots. Each one of those has a different utility. If you own a resource plot, you can mine your land, keep the resources for yourself. You'll be able to just turn that off so nobody else can mine it. You'll be able to turn it on for other players to mine off of your land. That will give you a percentage of the resources that are taken off of your land. Or you can turn it just to guild mode, which will open it up to your guild only and yourself. Then in the city plots, they're a little bit different. Those you're going to get a percentage of all of the resources that are sold. So there's corresponding city plots that are for stone, for wood, and for food. So if you're selling those at the market and you own a city plot, then you would get a percentage of those that are that's sold. Then we have transportation plots, which are also a little bit different in that we have wharves, which are, and we talked about the plural of wharfs or wharves or how we say it, but basically they are to go up and down the waterways of Nua, and that's to transport your wood and stone. And then we have airship docks, which are the largest capacity and the safest to use. And then we have what's called stables. And stables are going to basically breed our beasts of burden that we're creating. And those you'll be able to breed and use to haul your resources back and forth from city to city and bring them into the game.
Got it. Amazing. Aaron, did you want to add more stuff?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on just kind of the scale of the game. So we're going to start out with 2 islands. We went back and forth a lot. Are we going to do islands? Are we going to do planets? Are we going to do, what are we going to do? And we settled on these islands. There will be 24 islands in total. We're starting out with 2. One for the Talhain, which is Nua, and it is a vibrant green island. You've seen some of that in our land sale preview videos. We will be revealing more of that here shortly within the next few days, weeks ahead. And then we will also have the first island on the Cloak and Wraith side, which is Carnage. And it is an island that it used to be lush and beautiful like Nua, but it has since become kind of a desolate, not quite a desolate wasteland, but it's a volcanic island, and it's the resources will be similar, not identical, but we wanted to have parity on both sides. We didn't want one side or the other to be able to have an unfair advantage. So so there's still going to be the equivalent of wood and stone. It might look a little different, but we hope that the graphical differences won't affect the enjoyment of playing. So yeah, and to give a sense of scale, the island of Nua is roughly 8 by 16 kilometers in real world terms. And to touch a little bit on the technology, we are building using Unreal Engine. We're currently using Unreal Engine 4, but we would like to migrate to Unreal Engine 5 just so we're not building up a large tech debt prior to release. But I know that I think the second beta of Unreal Engine 5 just hit either today or yesterday. So that's a little bit on the technology side, but at some point we'll release a little bit more on the technology behind the islands and just how we can have such a massive island that will be able to handle a multiplayer environment as well as PvE and still create a seamless experience where you can roam the entire island and just be free to explore.
Awesome. If possible, could you paint us a picture of like, if I'm a gamer and it's the first day of the game, what exactly do I do? Is it a browser-based game and then I just jump in and then I'll see the plots of land, or is it more of like a high view looking down at the like card pieces or something?
Sure, it's a first person, so you'll come in and you can run through. Even right now, we're working on a way to be able to open up Nua just for people to be able to explore a little bit. So hopefully that'll be coming out in a few months. But you'll be able to jump in. It's highly detailed. You can watch the grass and the wind. I mean, it's just amazing what Unreal can put out. But you'll jump in. You can immediately start building. You can start mining your resources, taking those to market, and doing it from there. But it is a first person.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds exciting. You mentioned land a lot. So when they use land for the first time, or what can they expect when they use the NFTs in your game? Like, is it a normal marketplace that they trade, or is it going to be in game? What's going to happen?
We decided early on we don't want to have any NFTs. There are going to be some exceptions, but we didn't want to have any NFTs that did not have utility. So in game, your NFTs will be dynamically, or I should not say dynamically, but they will be generated in real time as players craft items. So we have released our 2 sets of Talhain and Cloak and Wraith equipment NFTs. Those items will not be craftable in game, but they're kind of a sneak peek at some of the things that you'll be able to do. So we will have the equipment will be craftable, and you as a player will own the NFT of your equipment. You'll be able to buy, sell, trade that way on the in-game marketplace. So you'll have equipment. There will be we're in initial talks on how to manage badges and guild insignia, things like that as NFTs as well. You'll also have your airships will be craftable, buildable, and those will also be NFTs as well that you can buy and sell and trade.
I'll just kind of jump in here. One of the things too that we decided is the resources will be an in-game only. That way that when you're buying and selling resources, it happens very, very quickly. It doesn't hold anything up. Those will be traded for our river token that will be coming out here in probably about 4 months. So there's a token that's tied to this as well. That way you can earn real world token as you're buying and selling your resources. But yeah, everything else is going to be NFT driven. and we have several of those already out there. Like Aaron said, the Talhane and the Cloak and Wraith equipment. You'll notice there's a few things like a backpack. The first backpack we gave away was a knapsack, and we gave away 100 of those to our first Discord members. And those have been traded quite a bit, but those also get you into the beta access of the game. Then we have canteens, which, because this is a game of survival, you'll need food and water, and the canteen will help you to survive a little bit longer. And then we have some other fun things like we released a Thalaran wool sock, which Thalaran means there is enough. And those will actually start a quest in game that you can only start with that NFT. Some of the other equipment that we've done are lanterns and other equipment that you will use in game to be able to help you see at night and things like that. So that's a little overview.
Got it. So there is a token as well. So are there
Yes.
tokenomics that people should be
Yes.
aware of?
We just signed with Double Peak and NZAC Research to be our advisors. And we also have some other special advisors that will be coming on that we can't mention yet, but it's pretty exciting for us. Yes, we are hoping to have that done. Our tokenomics is almost done. We have a white paper coming. A light paper basically is in the works right now, and a tokenomics paper as well.
Exciting stuff. Got it. Can you tell about a special kind of NFT, specifically the Well NFTs and the partnership with Hydrating Humanity? I think somebody in the chat also asked about this.
Sure. Well, that's the reason we're doing this. So that's our why, if you will. One of the things that I've worked with Hydrating Humanity before in the past. I also grew up with Matt Peterson, the CEO of Hydrating Humanity, and it's our goal to bring clean drinking water to those in need. And that's something that is just near and dear to my heart. Knowing Matt, I think they've produced almost 900 wells at this point in East Africa. And when you buy a well NFT, and I'll just tell you a little bit about how we see the wells playing in as utility. If you own land in our game and you want to connect your land and up your resources, then you'll need a well to do that. So when you buy a well, it is connected directly to Hydrating Humanity's wallet. So we don't get any of that. It goes all to Hydrating Humanity, but it will actually build a well in real life. We have 3 different sizes of well: a small, medium, and large well. The small well produces enough water to support 250 people per day. A medium well supports 500 people, and the large well supports up to 1,000 people a day. It's an electric well that's drilled when the water table is too low so that they can get to it. That is something that I can say this honestly, it gets me up in the morning and drives me to do this. A personal goal of my own is I'd like to provide 1 million people clean drinking water. That might seem like a lofty goal, but I think we can get there. And it also helps with our community. One of the things that Aaron and I've really noticed from the beginning is the quality of people that have just come into our community. They're giving, they're humanitarians, they're amazing people, and they all support this drive to be able to not just play and earn, but play to give. And that's been something that we've really tried to push, is the idea that it's great to play a game. It's even better to earn a little bit of money, but isn't it the most amazing thing that we can actually change the world through this technology? So that's a little bit about the wells. And we just, if somebody wants to buy a well and not play the game, that money goes directly to Hydrating Humanity. There's no need to worry about if it's not going to us. We don't even touch any of it. So you can rest assured that that's going to the right place.
Amazing. A follow-up to that is from Techita. His question was, who chooses the appropriate location of the well? And when it's built, does the gamer get updates and pictures to see what their investments went toward?
Good question. Yes. We're working with Matt and his team to actually, they usually video and take pictures of every well and the steps along the way. So we will be posting that on our website, and we'll be showing how many people we're serving daily and those kinds of numbers too, just to let everybody know the impact that they're having to people that really need clean drinking water.
Awesome. If I can ask, are the wells already sold? Like, have you already sold a few wells, and are you already like building those wells?
We have, well, I'll throw this out there. Thanks to Immutable X, when we were part of the um, token grant in the beginning that we got. It was their early bird token grants, and Immutable X was generous enough to build our first well. It's enough to get us started. So we have already started our first process of building our first well with Hydrating Humanity through Immutable X's partnership, and we're really excited. Other than that, we haven't sold any other wells yet. We just released those not too long ago. But that really will be driven by the game itself, I believe, and as people get to know what it does and what they're really about.
I would just was going to reiterate what Brian had said last I checked. We hadn't sold any yet, but I'm confident that as people come on board and really understand just how impactful that this partnership with Hydrating Humanity is going to be, that hoping that they'll sell we'll sell quite a few. So yeah, but yeah, Matt is a great guy. We have a really good, not just working relationship, but on a personal level with him and his team, and they do amazing work. And so yeah, check them out. They're available right now on Immutable X Marketplace under the Unfamiliar Territory Wells collection.
I was gonna say 1 million people is basically 1,000 large wells, if I have my math correct.
Yep, correct.
I feel like that's very much achievable given that people buy ether rocks online or something like that. So I'm sure good people will be keen to contribute as well. Awesome. Next question is, what excites you the most about the next 6 months of Unfamiliar Territory?
What excites me the most on my side is diving deeper into the technology stack. As Brian alluded to, we are in the process of building out our own marketplace built on Immutable X technology, which is exciting. We have that. We also have deepening ties with in the game development space. So I'm excited to explore those relationships more and really start fleshing that out. Also, as Brian also mentioned, our tokenomics we're neck deep in that process now. So that's really exciting too. It's a lot of fun building these different technology stacks out. So that's exciting. I also love working with our creative team. Like I mentioned, Lewis and Juro. They're just great. They're phenomenal. Trevor as well, who is guiding us on the graphic design side and on our social media. And just to be able to interact with our community and see the excitement grow and build. There's just so much going on, so much coming, and it's not, it doesn't stop, but it's so good. Like there's just, yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and I foresee it being a lot of fun in the future too.
Yeah, I'd say what excites me the most is our land sale coming up. We've been working on this since the very beginning. The first NFT that we ever created was a founder's card, and we kind of touched on that earlier. There parts of our backstory, but really what the founder's card was for people to be able to get in and buy land at 50% off. So they can go in where Aaron's almost got our marketplace done. I think we're about 99.9% there, and we will be on March 15th doing our first land sale. So that really excites me. It's been 6 months of really hard work developing NUA, getting the island ready, now creating the NFTs from them. They look phenomenal. I can't wait to share some of those with you. After that, I would say the token is going to be probably the next piece. As Immutable X has been very, I love the way that they have put so many of their tokens towards grants and pushing their development. That's something that we're copying as well. We are definitely going to be using a lot of our tokens to be opening up more avenues and other ways to develop on unfamiliar territory. Let's see, what else do we have coming up? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, and this is kind of, hope Aaron doesn't mind me saying this, but we're also looking at staking our land and also being able to stake our founders cards when we get our tokens done. So that way, when the founders have bought their land and they're done with it, it gives them just another reason to hold on to that founders card, another way for us to give back. We've already been doing airdrops and things to our founders, just as a thank you for just believing in us from the beginning. So that's something that excites me, is just continuing to add value and continuing to give back to our community through airdrops and giveaways. Staking is also very near and dear to my heart. I want to make sure that we have that done properly. But yeah, I would say that's probably what excites me the most. We have some other things coming out, structures that will be presenting. Airships are going to be incredible. We haven't even got there yet, but the airship piece of this will be a lot of fun to create. So that's what excites me, I think, the most.
Awesome. So when? Sorry, did you already mention when the land sale is going to be?
That is March 15th for our founders. We're going to hold that open for 48 hours, and then we're going to open it up to the public after that. And this will be the first of many. This is our first large city that we're releasing. So, if it gets sold out, cross our fingers, then there'll be more land available later. So don't be disappointed if you don't get in right now. But I can tell you we're going to have a lot more coming. So.
I was going to say, just a reminder to our founder card holders, we do have an exclusive Discord chat channel on the Unfamiliar Territory Discord. And I just posted today a preview of our land sale NFT for your viewing pleasure. So head on over there, guys and gals, and check it out.
Ooh, some alpha already. That's exciting. Going into the community questions now. So the first one is from Legion. His question or her question was, can you explain a little bit more about the possibility of opening land to your guild and the application of resources you can mine or trade?
Sure, I can field that one. Right, so when you buy land, it's going to depend on what type of land it is. This first city that we're opening up is called the Stone Melder City. And I think we're going to go ahead and announce the winner and say that it's called Boulder's Keep. So we had a city naming contest, and I believe it was Trevelito that put that in there. I'll have to confirm that later, but Boulder's Keep is going to be our first city. And stone melders are this very odd mix of stone and man, if you will. And they produce this substance and they meld stone with their hands. So they're kind of the builders of the game. And if you look at the map there, down below is where our resource plots are. And that's where you're going to mine stone. So when you're mining stone, you're going to turn that into gravel, you're going to take it to the city, and that's where it's going to be sold at market. When you sell that, you're going to be rewarded in river token. And then with those resource plots, I think I said a little earlier and touched on this, we've designed it so that you can keep the resources for yourself and turn the land off so that nobody else can mine off of it. You can turn it on to let anyone mine on it, and you'll get a percentage of it. So it's kind of like leasing your land, if you will. And then you're going to also be able to turn it just to guild only. So to touch on what Legion was asking, we are anticipating guilds will be a very big part of our game. We are looking at doing 3 different types of guilds, like a small, medium, and large guild. And that way, as land becomes more scarce, it's going to be harder and harder to find resource plots that are open. So that will kind of drive players to find guilds, be a part of guilds. In our big city in Boulder's Keep, that is an NPC city. It's really large. There's a illustration that we have. I'm not sure if it's on. I think they put it in the other event text. But that's going to be an NPC city, and that's where all the guilds are going to be. So you're going to have these large guild halls that you can go in, and you'll be able to talk with your fellow guildmates. You'll be able to see them in person. It won't just be a chat room. It'll be a place that you can actually go hang out. We're also looking at being able to brand that. So one of our partners, NFT to Earn, is one of our guild partners right now. And they'll be able to have a place that they can call home. They can go in there and it'll be branded. It'll have their logo. and it'll be open to other guilds as well to be able to do the same thing.
Awesome. Following up on guilds from the cheetah, what are the differences of activities that a guild can do compared to doing it solo?
That's a good question. Right now, we don't really have a lot of other activities. Really, it's going to be more about community. So if you look at our core values, we have community first. The second is to have a utility-driven demand for our NFTs. Third is to build a fun game that everybody wants to play and that drives 1 and 2. So with this, we really want to just drive community. We feel that the biggest reason people play games is because they want to bring their friends in it. They want to not play alone. Now, you can go ahead and play this game solo, but we really want to build community around this.
Got it. Awesome. That's exciting. Legion had follow-up questions as well. What's the difference between stables, the wharf, and dock transportation fees?
Yeah, good question. So stables will be a breeding ground basically for our beasts of burden. We call them. They're wilderbacks. Um, I imagine them. Well, I'm not going to give that away until we actually have something drawn up. But basically, they're going to be these big beasts, if you will, that will be able to carry your materials back and forth. Because once you've cut down a tree, it's pretty hard for you to transport that tree to the city. So you're going to need some transportation. That's going to provide. If you think of kind of like Axie Infinity did, the way that they had breeding with theirs, this is kind of the same thing. You're going to be able to have different characteristics of these that you'll get when you put them together. So that's kind of one aspect of transportation. The other ones are the wharves, like we talked about earlier. Those transport things up and down the waterways of NUA. They're much faster than carrying them by land, but they are going to be limited to the waterways. And then you've got your airship docks. There's only 4 of them for sale in the first land sale that we're doing, and there'll only be 16 on the whole island, each of the major cities. That's going to be the most direct way to get your materials to and from the major cities, and they'll be the safest and securest. It'll also cost the most as well, just like any airfare would if you in real life. So if you own one of those, you're going to be making a passive income when people use the transportation. So even if you're not playing the game and someone is using your wharf or taking a skiff up and down the river, you're going to get those fees that are determined by the game and be able to make a nice passive income off of that.
Got it. A question that just came to mind. Why would people want to move from one city to another? Is there like an arbitrage opportunity or something like that happening here?
Explain a little bit more on your question. I'm not sure I fully understand it.
I guess all these transportation is about moving from one city to another, right? Why would people move from one city to another? What's the advantage or disadvantage?
It's really more about moving your resources to the cities. So our resource plots aren't connected to the cities, and you're going to need to get. Now, you might want to travel to another city, which is fine as well. Like Aaron said earlier, this map is huge. I think in real life, it's about 1/10 of the size of the big island of Hawaii. So it would take you probably in real life 8 hours to walk across or run across the island. So it's a rather large island. It's also filled and it's going to be teeming with creatures that were created from the fall. You'll have to read the story to understand a little bit about the fall, but basically it was artifacts that were combined by mistake, and they formed these creatures and everything around it that is kind of mixed together, if you will. So the reason for the travel is different cities will have different races. So Stone Melder City is our first one, the Boulders Keep. That's where all the Stone Melders live. We've got another city that is the Scholars City. Scholars are an owl-like creature, and they're extremely smart and studious, and they spend most of their time poring over books. And I'm kind of excited about that city. It reminds me a little bit of Endor, but we've modeled it after big redwood trees that, Aaron and I shared, I don't know how many hundreds of pictures of places that we liked just to get an idea of what kind of cities that we want to build and what it's going to look like. But these are made of humongous redwood trees. They live up in the trees. The timber punks, which are gray wolves, they're in a whole separate area of the island. Those are your people that are really in charge of the cutting down trees and things like that. So every race has its own variety of ways that they can play and interact with the game. They all have different skill trees as well. So if you wanted to play the game as a timber punk, and then you didn't like that and you wanted to try something different and you wanted to come in as a sod buster, they're in charge of all the food and recipes and things like that. You're going to have a lot of different gameplay that you can do if you want to try a different race. There's 8 different races in total, so it gives a lot of different gameplay.
Got it. Awesome. Exciting stuff. Moving on to XILAmbition. So he noticed that there are 5 chapters to the game's story. Now, this is the only game that's been seen with a terminus set in the gameplay loop. How do players continue to find new content or other driving mechanisms behind continued interaction?
Oh, that's a really good question. We have talked about continuing the story, and stop me if I maybe missed the undertones of the question, but we release a lot of content on our Discord. We try to release new concept art fairly regularly. And we also are talking about continuing the story. We're not quite sure how we're going to release that yet, but I know that, again, internally, we've already started a discussion of how to continue that story. As Brian also pointed out, we've got the island of Nua already. We're doing some, I wouldn't stretch it so far as to call it playtesting yet, but we are able to run around on Nua. We are looking into the what it would take to open that up to our community, to get on there, start just looking around, get a feel for the island. And we have also started working on the music for the game, and hopefully we'll be able to start releasing some sneak previews of that soon. But as we've pointed out, quite a bit of stuff is in the works already, and so as small as our team is right now, we have to really work hard at prioritizing. But Brian and I have already started working on the music that will help drive the game as well. So we're excited to release some of that in the coming months ahead. Did that kind of answer the question, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think one of the other things that we could add to it too is we haven't really talked about is this is going to be a quest-based game as well. So players will be able to go to the NPC cities. They'll be able to pick up quests. There's going to be a lot more storyline. There's a lot more to come as far as story goes. I know for a fact that I've already started writing the next few chapters, so that will be coming. So
awesome. So Ambition, if you have a follow-up to that, please feel free to drop your question. Else I'll just go through the questions from other community members. Interesting one from Notamali. How do you navigate your mission goals and achievements with the generally negative environmental impressions around crypto-based projects?
Well, I think that's our environmental goals. One of the reasons we chose Immutable X is that they just have such a great mission, and they are what are those called? The carbon
neutral,
the carbon neutral
carbon credits.
The carbon credits. That was really important to me. I think in this space there's a lot of bad information out there, but Immutable X has seemed to really take that at heart. So that was one of the other driving factors. The other thing was, of course, no gas fees, which we could always talk about too. But I really appreciate Immutable's take on that they didn't forget about that. I'm not sure if that answers the question or not.
Again, Natamali, if you have follow-ups to that, feel free to just chat at the bottom. Moving on to Techita once again, do you have any juicy Easter eggs that they can find? Looking for alpha here.
Well, I was part of NFT to earn. Techita is part of that, and no, we don't have anything yet that's like your Easter egg on your game. So that was kind of. But I'm sure now that that he's mentioned it, we can surely put something in there for you.
From Canuckshell, is there a rough ETA for the alpha or the beta?
We are looking at 2024. We're still quite a ways out. We are going to, one of the things that Aaron and I have talked about from the beginning is we are trying to open this game up for people to be able to demo and play and as we go. There's not too many games that I've seen out there that are really open to letting their community in before it's ready. We hope to be able to open up Nua Island for people to look around in, put some of those Easter eggs in. We wanted to put some hidden crates or things like that that they could find just for exploring. Even though the game's not ready yet, that's what we want to do, is be able to open it up at early stages for people. We realize that might be, have some backlash to it as well, but we'd rather find out if the direction we're going is the direction that our community and our players want to play. So that's really important to us, to be open during this process and let people in early to experience it. The other thing that we're working on doing, and this is something from the beginning that we've hoped to do. We haven't got there yet. We're still a ways out, but we want to do a recreation and an in-game event that actually goes through the story, the first 5 chapters. So you'll be able to board the airship. You'll be able to watch the characters interact with each other and go through in movie-like fashion and watch the scenes play out in the game. So we're working on that. That's one of the first goals that we have on our roadmap, that we want to open that up for players, and they can actually experience the story firsthand. That's going to be our in-game event, and it'll be a lot of fun. So we hope that people will enjoy that.
Nice. From NFT to Earn Dr. Win, questions about land. It sounds like there will be a finite supply of land on each island. Is each island an independent economy, or will there be trade between islands?
They will. He is correct. Yeah, each island has a limited number of plots of land. Those are finite. We basically built the game so that we can add more islands as the player base gets too large for each island. So it may be in the future that island number 3 opens up. It'd be in pairs. So island 3 and 4 would open up, but each island will have its own economy. Since they are at war with each other, it doesn't really make sense for them to share an economy, so they will have independent economies on each island. I'm not sure if you've ever played Star Trek or any of those where it's like they have galaxies, and as you progress and get higher levels, you move to a different galaxy. That keeps you kind of in line with other players at your similar level. That way you don't have a 60 level player and a second level player coming in and it not being fair. So as the game progresses, we'll be opening up more islands as we have a player base. We're basically talking about when it hits 80-90%, then we'll start opening up the next island.
And that answers his follow-up question, I think. Is there a possibility of conflict between communities of one island over another?
They are at war. So this game is really about 2 different races that are at war with each other. And if you listen to the story, it's basically the makers, which they have their own island that has been there for a long time. They're a technically advanced race, and they have been once a year sending over this airship to these islands that are much lower as far as on the technically advanced tree, and they've been sending over presents and gifts of technology. We called that Giftmas instead of Christmas. And we had a whole event around that. But basically, the lore is that they came over. They have these bots that are highly advanced. They have airships that are highly advanced. They have a lot of technologies that they don't have. And when the makers went to the Cloak and Wraith Island, they took over their airship, and basically it's a marauding island, and they want to destroy the bots. They think they're an abomination, and the makers are seeking out the Talhain so that they can help them not be destroyed. So it's basically a game that is one island against the other island. Everybody's building for war, and that's the basics of it.
Yeah, the PvP area, the airships will be critical to the PvP element of the game, which is that open warfare. And so your resource mining will directly feed into your airship creation, which will directly feed into your airship battles. So there's really good incentive for getting out there and mining and building your airships. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting that, as Brian mentioned, getting the airships up and running.
Awesome. I'm mindful of time, so I will try to power through these questions. From Gretzky, is there only whitelists for the founders cards? Are there whitelists in other game NFTs too?
No, we decided to kind of go against the whitelist piece. We were opening it up to our founders for 50% off, just to incentivize the people that believed in this in the beginning, that were willing to wait for us to get the land done. So we are really trying to give our founders that extra reason to support the game. Again, it's about the first people in are getting a discount, and then after that, we open it up to the general public. So there's really no whitelisting available. It's just the founders cards.
Got it. Next is from XILAmbition. How extensively have you devised mechanisms to ensure that the economy of the game does not mint out of control?
That's a really good question. We are working on that. I won't say we've got it perfected, but I've spent almost a year working on economies. It's a really deep dive to get into that question, and I'm not sure that we're there yet. And there's going to be a whole lot more to come, and to be able to get there. There's going to be a lot of gameplay once we get to that place, to be able to alpha test it, beta test it, make sure the game is not broken. That's a great question, and frankly, it's probably on the top of my list of worries, if you will, to make sure that everything is fair, that everything works, that it's not going to be able to be broken easily. But it is, when you're talking about an open world like this and open economies, you never know what a player is going to do. They can always come up with ways to break the game. So that's always on our radar.
Got it. Once again from XILAmbition, are there going to be any differences between guild members having access to harvesting materials versus a wider player base?
I'm not 100% sure I understand the question, but basically that's the part of the land where we are keeping, the player can decide whether or not they want to keep the land for themselves, open it up to everyone, which gives them a little bit more. That way, people that aren't a part of a guild or whatever can go and mine on your land, and you'll get a percentage of the resources mined, or you can turn it over just to your guild. So I foresee this in the future as going more guild based, if you will, and that will, as resources become less and less, that will sort of force people into being a part of a guild. But then you're going to still have players that want to keep it open. So I'm not sure I can answer that question 100%, but I think it will basically push people into guilds, if you will.
Got it. Next question, maybe this is the last question, and then we can do our final key takeaways. It's from Gandalf the Yellow. Isn't 0.25 ETH a bit expensive as the cheapest land?
In my opinion, no, because what we're trying to build here is something that you could make it back in 3 to 4 months. So that's my goal anyways. One of the things is with any investment is, and this is not investment advice by any means, but we're trying to build something that provides a passive income. So we are not trying to build a pay to play game. This game is free to play for anyone, but if you want to come in at a higher level, then that's open as well. So when you invest in land, you are investing in a something that you're going to make money back over time.
I should point out real quick, Nigel, as well. As Brian pointed out earlier, the character NFTs will be free, and you are free to level those up. There will be opportunities to earn River token as well. So while land is priced, we have tiered pricing for our land. There will be many opportunities for people to jump in and also play to earn without owning land outright.
Awesome. We're at time, so I want to give the time to Aaron and Brian. Were there any key takeaways you wanted the AMA participants to remember?
I just appreciate you guys at Immutable X. And as far as key takeaways, we've got our land sale coming up on March 15th. So we'd love to see anybody and everybody there. They can always come to our Discord. I think we have one of the best Discords and communities out there. I'm probably personally involved in 30 different Discords, and I can honestly say ours is the best. The people there are welcoming. They are humanitarians. They love the game. So please come and check us out. And yeah, I'd like to just personally say thank you to Immutable X. You guys have been great since we started this, especially Millie and Pan. Oh my gosh, Millie's been with us since the beginning. So thank you very much, Millie, for just believing in us and helping us along the way. The people, whoever hires at Immutable X is doing a wonderful job, because everybody that we've dealt with there has just been amazing. So thank you.
Awesome. I just posted the side quest that's for the AMA that we advertise as well. Just post your best moment of the AMA and have both Unfamiliar Territory and Immutable, and then the Unfamiliar team will be selecting 9 lucky winners. So looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
right.
it. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Brian.
Great. Thanks, Nigel.
That was a great AMA. Looking forward to see more of your game.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, everyone, for hopping on.
Yes, especially the audience. Thank you very much. Looking forward to see what happens next.